the light coming into the world also illuminated the true nature of God. The true nature of God. If men are as sinful as they are, if they are as wretched as they are, if they love the darkness as they do, if they're spiritually dead and spiritually blind, how can they possibly believe? How can they possibly receive Christ? How can they possibly become children of God? How can they possibly be born again? How can it happen? Verse 13. Here we look into the very nature of God, who were born. To be a child, you have to be born. This is that new birth, regeneration. Who were born, not of blood. You know what that means? Heritage, descent. Doesn't come down from your ancestors. That's not how you become a child of God. Not because of your parents or your grandparents or your family. Nor of the will of the flesh. Not because of personal effort, personal moral effort, personal spiritual effort, personal religious activity. Nor of the will of man. What does that mean? The acts of others, some sacramental system, some system of religion plied by so-called priests on your behalf. You're not going to become a child of God by family heritage. You're not going to become a child of God by personal effort. You're not going to become a child of God by some man-made system. All impossible. How? You were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. Only God can do this miracle. And here we are introduced to the true nature of God with regard to the gospel. God is by nature a Savior. He is a Savior whose mighty power causes us to receive His Son and to believe in His name. He will have much more to say about this later on in the gospel. But at the very foundation, we need to know that in this ministry of evangelism and gospel presentation and giving testimony and witness to Christ, God will work to give life to dead sinners. It is His heart to do that. God our Savior, says the Apostle Paul again and again and again. God, who is the Savior of all men, especially those who believe. He is a saving God. Who is a pardoning God like you? Read Ezekiel 36 and 37. God presents the new covenant of salvation. Read Jeremiah 31. God is by nature a Savior. It's in His heart to give life to dead sinners. This is what we need to know as the foundation, the bedrock essentials for Christians. We need to know that God, by nature, is a saving God who gives life to dead sinners. We need to know that believers are those who become, by new creation, eternal children of God. We need to know that sinners are deep in blindness and darkness and flee the light. We need to know that Christ is the only true light to lighten every man. And we need to understand that the nature of ministry then is to present Christ and give testimony to Him and see what God will do for His own glory.